Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to uncover one of the most chilling and unbelievable stories in modern history, how one man, by doing nothing, may have stopped World War III. In a world filled with powerful nations, deadly weapons, and constant political tension, it's hard to imagine that a single human decision could change the fate of the world. But that's exactly what happened on the night of September 26, 1983. The Cold War was raging. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a standoff that had lasted for decades. Tensions were incredibly high, and both superpowers were prepared for nuclear war at a moment's notice. Just 3 weeks earlier, the Soviet military had shot down Korean Airlines Flight 007, killing nearly 300 people, including Americans. The Soviet leadership believed the US was preparing for a first nuclear strike. In that environment of fear and mistrust, both sides were on hair-trigger alert. Any detection of a missile launch could immediately lead to a retaliatory strike. On that tense night, a man named Stanislav Petrov was stationed at Serpukhov 15, a secret Soviet early warning facility located outside Moscow. His job was to monitor satellite signals for signs of a US missile launch. Petrov wasn't a high-ranking general or a political figure. He was a mid-level officer who happened to be in the right, or perhaps the wrong, place at the right time. As he monitored the screens in the early morning hours, an alarm suddenly went off. The system was reporting that the United States had launched a nuclear missile toward the Soviet Union. Moments later, the system showed 4 more missiles following the first. The red lights flashed. Sirens blared. Everything pointed to a nuclear attack. Protocol demanded that Petrov report the incoming missiles to his superiors. That would set off a chain of command, leading to a counterattack that would have launched Soviet nuclear missiles toward the United States. Within minutes, the world could have been plunged into nuclear war, with hundreds of millions of lives lost. But Petrov hesitated. Something didn't feel right. He had been trained to follow procedures, yet he knew the early warning system was still new and had technical flaws. He also found it odd that the system only detected 5 missiles. In a real first strike scenario, the United States would likely launch hundreds of missiles to disable Soviet retaliation capabilities. 5 seemed far too few. With only minutes to decide, Petrov trusted his instincts. He chose not to report the alarm as a confirmed attack. He classified it as a false alarm. He waited, watching the radar screens, hoping he was right. No missiles ever arrived. There had been no attack. The system had malfunctioned, likely mistaking sunlight reflected off high-altitude clouds for a missile launch. His decision not to act, his refusal to blindly follow the automated system, may have prevented the start of World War III. The technology meant to safeguard humanity had failed, and it was only because of one man's calm judgment that disaster was averted. There were no backup confirmations from ground radar systems. The system had been designed to react quickly, based on limited information. There was no guarantee that the next person in Petrov's place would have done the same. His restraint and ability to stay calm under immense pressure were extraordinary. And yet, Petrov was never rewarded. He didn't receive medals or honors. In fact, he was reprimanded for not properly recording the incident in the logbook. The event was classified for years, and his actions went unnoticed by the world. It wasn't until much later, after the fall of the Soviet Union, that the truth came out. Petrov gave a few interviews, but lived a quiet life in a small apartment in Russia. He passed away in 2017, largely unrecognized for what he had done. The man who may have saved the world by doing nothing died in near obscurity. What makes his story even more powerful is that he didn't consider himself a hero. He believed he simply did what any logical person would do. But in reality, very few people in such a moment would have had the clarity, doubt, and courage to defy the system. His story is a reminder of how fragile peace can be, and how the fate of billions can sometimes rest on the judgment of a single human being. In an age where machines and systems are increasingly relied upon, Petrov's choice shows us the irreplaceable value of human intuition and morality. Sometimes, the greatest act of courage is the decision to wait, to think, and to do nothing. Thanks to that choice, the world continues to exist as we know it.